Hey, everybody, welcome to the Limit Podcast with Matt Gibson and Phil Hunt. Phil, spring is finally here, it feels like, in the Midwest.
I know, ain't it nice?
It is.
But then you know what I heard? I heard after all the storms and tornadoes tonight, it might snow. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did see that. But
Like a
then
little
after the,
flurries.
yeah, but then after that, it looks like it's going to get nice again. So hopefully we're kind of out from
Yeah,
at least extended nasty winter weather.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I know you've been busy. You've got stuff going on with peach fishing. You've got work stuff. You're just kind of all over the place right now. So have you been out?
I haven't
Yeah.
been out at all. I mean, I did uncover my boat at lunch today, and
Yeah.
I haven't even started going through tackle or anything yet. I've been so busy doing other stuff, and to be honest, my partners in PH Fishing, they're kind of they're kind of carrying, they're doing everything like into PH Fishing because I'm so busy with doing this other stuff.
Right.
But we do have some great products like the new rods are awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
We,
I
we
saw
finally
those
have
on
them in stock. Yeah.
I saw those on the website. Saw a few videos of some guys talking through
Uh huh.
through them and kind of walking through 'em. Man, they look really nice. They look really really sleek and you were
Yeah.
saying how light they were too.
Yeah. I think they're over the top because that's what I wanted. I mean, I got my
Hmm.
name on them obviously, so I wanted them to be really nice. And I can't stand a rod that's front end heavy or so these are super lightweight. I think when guys pick one up and they see the price, they're comparable to a lot of rods in the mid 200s or over $200. And these are like 149, I think, retail.
Yeah.
Super lightweight. They've got actually a better grade of cork, got a better grade of handle, better grade of guides. Just wanted a really nice rod that people can afford, and I think that'll take us a long way in the long run. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I was actually fortunate enough. I've been out a couple times this year, and I've been throwing the underspin, the hair underspin that you guys have, and man, that's been a killer this spring so far for me.
Yeah, yeah, and they can find that on the PH Fishing.
Yep.
Actually, it's behind me there, and I guess they can scan that and takes them
Yep.
right to the site. But it's actually PH Fishing, not PH Custom Lures. PH Custom Lures is still up and rolling,
Hmm.
but jump on the PH Fishing site for the rods and the hair jigs, and we've even got a really
Tubes.
nice little marabou jig for the smallie
Yep.
guys up north. Like it's
Yep.
all hand tied. All the hair jigs are made in America. They're really sweet.
Yeah, I've been. Well, now the water's getting a little bit warmer with some of the weather we've had, warm rains, all that stuff. But man, I
Mhm.
early on, I was doing really really good on big crappie and good sized largemouth with that hair underspin. It's pretty unique.
Yeah.
I've thrown a lot of underspins over the years, going all the way back to like the Casey Ashley, all those underspins. I've
Hmm.
thrown those all quite a bit, and what I really appreciate about this particular underspin is the hook and that hook design that you guys put in it. That's a
Hmm.
really nice hook that doesn't bend. It's a good
Hmm.
stout hook.
Yeah, and it's a little different. And don't get me, dude, I'm not a great big. I don't know a whole lot about underspin fishing other than throw it out and wind it in.
Hmm.
And mostly for me, it's always been offshore.
Yep.
But with the hair is a whole different deal because the bait isn't as buoyant, so it'll allow you to throw a little smaller one or a little lighter weight and keep it down.
Hmm.
And they got really good blades on them, really good
Yep.
swivels. We didn't want a blade so big that it overpowered the bait, but not so little that it wouldn't attract attention.
Sure.
And I've even thought like, and I don't know, there's a lot of guys going to see this that know a lot more about underspin fishing than I do. But whenever I try to wind them over brush piles and stuff, I lose them pretty regular or try to wind them over the bottom,
Hmm.
like when they're offshore. And I was thinking about maybe doing something eventually where it has a weed guard, maybe like two little
There you
wires
go.
in it or something that
Yeah.
doesn't, you know what I mean? I don't
Yep.
know if guys would like that. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what guys have to say, but it would be nice to throw one out in a brush pile 15-foot deep or 20-foot
Yep.
deep and wind it through there without losing it every throw.
Yep. And I will say too, like something something that I noticed with the hair versus just one with a
Hmm.
trailer on it. I wasn't even fishing with a trailer. I just let the
Hmm.
didn't trim the hair or anything like that. That hair has a lot of nice natural motion to it, just like a hair jig does.
Hmm.
And a majority of the larger fish that I actually caught on it, it was on my initial cast, and as it was falling, they just
Hit it
knocked
on the way
spikes in my
down.
line. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know what? Back in the day, like before most people are even born that are going to see this, like we use doll flies, and a doll fly is just like an oversized crappie jig. You remember them, don't you?
Yeah.
And you would buy them in quarter, 3/8, whatever, half, eighth, whatever, and they just had craft hair tied on them with an open hook.
Hmm.
No weed guard. That was kind of the original deal. It was a huge deal. Like it was really big, like the Fly and Ryan and stuff,
Hmm.
like down
Yeah.
on Del Hollow when Billy Westmoreland back when he was a big deal and Bill Dance got started. And a lot of times then, when the water was cold, which I think guys call it strolling now or something, but you would just throw it out with a spinning rod and just wind it slow and steady, no action, don't do anything, and it caught a lot of fish. And that's the same for
Yeah.
that hair, that underspin with that hair on it. You just got a little
Yep.
flash.
Yep, yep, and you just throw it out there, and what I do with it anyways, I throw it out there, let it sink, and then I pop the rod one time, and then from there, it's just a straight retrieve,
Hmm.
and then if I feel something or if I hit something, I just kinda pop it again and just
Hmm.
continue with the retrieve. It's you have to be patient with it, but man, it can get some really good bites in some really tough situations for sure.
And now's the time too, while the water's
Mhm.
cold, I would think.
Yep. And I tell you, I've caught a good amount of fish on it, and that jig is really, really holding up well too. Sometimes with some hair jigs and some other products, it starts getting bunched up, or you start losing hair out of it. And this is
Mhm.
holding up really, really well so far. So very
Yeah,
impressed with it.
yeah, yeah. I'm kind of excited to see like it's that time of year too where like the marabou jigs that we got, they're little, they're
Hmm.
eighth and 16th, and I don't think we did a 3/32 yet because of the mold that was available at the time.
Yeah.
But you just throw them out and wind them in. I mean, that's like a big deal up north when the water's in the 40s for them smallies. They get up and cruise on them flats, and you
Hmm.
just throw it real far on like. But my matter of fact, I got introduced to that by Gary Adkins, who's been a real stick on the NPFL and other circuits. He used to be my traveling partner in the Everstart years ago. And I went up and fished with him. We fished a tourney up on Sturgeon Bay, that big one they have that has 300 or 400 boats every year. And it
Yeah.
was miserable and cold. And when I got up there, I had like 10 and 15 pound braid on all of my spinning rods with the leader. And he's like, no, no. So he actually used a 5 pound braid with a 6 pound leader,
Oh
and you
wow.
can throw that little tiny, 16th or 3/32 ounce marabou. You can throw
Hmm.
it real far that way on like a 6/8 or 6/10 medium light, and we actually have a rod that would be awesome for that in our spinning rod. It's a 6/8 medium light, and you just throw it, and I remember when he's like, don't shake it, don't do anything. You just throw it out there. We were fishing, like 5 to 8 feet of water, and you
Hmm.
just wind it slow and steady, and you would not believe. I know guys up there, they already know about all this, but
Right.
around here people don't really do that, and you just wind it steady, and those smallies will knock the rod out of their hand when they bite it.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, the White River here in Indiana, it's pretty flooded out. I was
Hmm.
really looking forward to going over and trying some of that. Both hair jigs, both versions of it over
Hmm.
there. But man, with this weather we've had, it just hasn't worked out. But yeah, yeah. To your point, like the marabou jig, that's a really big thing. And the guys here in the Midwest that catch those really big smallmouth in the wintertime, that's exactly what they're throwing is that bait right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. It's just a big hair jig. I think it has a 1/0 hook in it, but it
Yep.
still hooks them really good. You're using a limber rod, and the whole key I learned up there. It took me a little bit to get onto it, but uh, the whole key is just literally just wind it in slow and steady. All you're doing is kind of just keeping the line tight,
Yep.
and you're using like black, green pumpkin, brown, and white. You don't need very many colors.
That's it.
Black is the
Yep.
big deal. Just throw a black one and wind it in.
Yep, yep. That's exactly right, that's exactly right,
Yeah,
so
kind of like the float and fly guys, at Del
mhm.
Hollow and Laurel Lake and Cumberland. Only they're just suspending that hair jig below a bobber and just shaking it a little bit as they work it back. And
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, so, as an angler, here in the Midwest, it's been really, really nice to see this weather come up and
hmm.
actually having the opportunity to get out on the water a little bit earlier than what we typically do, so,
Hmm.
just wanna talk about springtime fishing today, just you and I just kinda chat about it, and, I know you've got a
Yeah.
lot of experience kind of all over, and so in the springtime, kind of what's if you're launching your boat for the first time, what are you gonna go look for right off the bat?
Well, I mean, it's just the basics that everybody knows or should know. I mean, like south facing banks are a good place to start. But I look for channel swings and stuff. If I'm not fishing points, I fish channel swings. And
Yeah.
sometimes, even though like down here at Brookville Lake, which it come up like 7 feet or something in the last couple of days, or after the flood, but like those fish sometimes are way shallower than you think. They could be further
Yeah.
back in the creek than you think they are. Like on the last channel swing, sometimes, especially when you got all this water coming in, and I throw flat balsa baits. And then one bait that I think about, and I think it's kind of forgotten, you don't see many for sale, is a single bladed spinner bait is deadly this time of year. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know why more guys don't throw it. I know a lot of older guys do, but the young ones all have a Colorado willow or a double willow, or maybe a double Colorado if the water's really dirty. But
Yeah. Or
just a,
chatterbait.
just a, yeah, just a 3/8 or half ounce or 3/4 ounce single bladed spinner bait with a Colorado blade on it, just a
Hmm.
single blade. And you just wind it and feel that thump, thump, thump. I try to keep it, a lot of times pretty close to the bottom, or like on the Bluff Lakes down, like in the Tennessee and Kentucky, you throw it right up on the bluff, and I just try to keep the line tight enough that I can see that it just kind of pendulums towards you, and you'll actually sometimes see your line shaking if you have a big blade. You just
Yeah.
where that blade is kind of rocking back and forth, and they really like that. You'd be surprised, and you'd be surprised how big of a blade they'll bite this time of year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people associate that with muddier water, but I found
No,
that
yeah.
like that big blade can be a really, really good big fish bait this time of year.
Oh yeah, like I would never go without one. And I mean, I have a
Mm.
chatterbait, like you said, and I have flat baits. Obviously, I've made them for 20 years.
Yeah.
I have flat baits on, but that spinner bait is so underrated, and you don't need a lot of colors. If you've got white, chartreuse and blue and white, and chartreuse and white, or you probably only need two of those, or maybe solid chartreuse. If it's, I like chartreuse and orange actually when it's really
Mm.
dirty.
Yep.
Chartreuse and orange and lime, like a fire tiger.
Yep.
But it's just really simple. You just throw it up there and wind it out real slow, and you'll know when they eat it. You either won't feel the blade, it'll quit spinning, or they'll really wrap it.
Yep. Yep. No, I totally agree. And yeah, I think a lot of people associate kind of, especially early spring here in Indiana, that hey, I still need to be in those wintering spots, and I need to be in deeper water. But I'm the same way. I fish, 4 to 6 foot of water right now is kind of what I
Yeah,
key in on. Uh, we've had sunny days, which to me, it seems like it
right.
really helps push those fish a little bit even shallower at times. And
Hmm.
and they'll get super, super aggressive and really want to feed on something like a spinner bait or a flat bait like you're talking about, square bill, even placed a
Hmm.
little bit, I think, in my arsenal this time of year.
Yeah. Don't you think they probably move up quicker than a lot of guys think?
Yeah. Yeah, for instance, like this year we had ice, so I went out ice fishing a few times over the
Hmm.
winter here, and we had ice for a long time. And now this is bluegill fishing and pan fishing, but my best success was between 4 and 6 foot of water, even
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that ice on. That's where the
yeah.
bigger bluegill were. So I think
Right.
they stay a lot shallower over any
Yeah,
fish. I think they stay a lot shallower than what we give them credit for
yeah. And I
sometimes.
know there's a lot of fish out offshore, in the
Hmm.
middle, like under the bait, but I
Yep.
don't scope, so I mean, I just don't enjoy it. So,
Mhm.
but there are a lot of big fish that get up on the bank, and with that big bladed spinner bait too, you're not really fishing for numbers. You're fishing for big fish, and this is the time of year
Yep.
to catch a giant. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then like the grass lakes, I think that if you got a lake that's got grass, it seems like they might turn on a little earlier, a little
Mm.
sooner after the ice goes off. Or some years we have ice, some years we don't. But
Yep.
I know, like Summit Lake here in Indiana, like you can go fish at Summit, and I'm sure there's lots of ways to catch them. But when that water's in the low to mid 40s, if I need a jerk bait, and then an old super spot, a Cordell super spot this time of year, the half ounce
Yeah.
is just
Yep.
deadly on those. And I let it, and I got a buddy who's taught me this 25 years ago, and he probably wouldn't even want me to say this, but that super spot actually, it runs shallower. A half ounce super spot normally runs shallower than like a half ounce rattle trap or a Yazori or something like that, or a red eye
Mhm.
shad. And what's so good about the super spot is the way it falls. So, I normally fish it on like a medium heavy rod. So if you need to
Okay.
get the grass, but I use a shorter
Mm.
rod. And I learned a long time ago that's the key to the technique, kind of. and you just pick it up like a silver buddy off the bottom and let it fall, but it falls so much slower, and that's like deadly when it's in the low 40s.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I can't tell you how good that technique is, and when the water's in, say from 40 to 50 degrees, it's just unbelievable good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's interesting you say that. I think everybody's so fascinated with red eye shad and the one
Hmm.
knockers and
Hmm.
all of those lipless baits. I think there's a few sleeper lipless baits out there that people forget about.
Yeah, you remember the old Strike Kings, the diamond shads?
The diamond shads, yeah.
They ran a little shallower than like a trap or
Mm,
something. But the best one that the two I think that are better for yo-yoing, and I'm sure I'll get crucified for saying this.
mhm,
There's going to be somebody who says, no, that's not, I throw
yeah,
a red eye shad or I throw a Uzuri. The
yeah.
two best ones for the way I fish it in the cold water to me are the half ounce super spot, the Cordells. They're not, and it's a cheap bait to buy. And then the Spro Aruka
Mm,
shad, the 5/8 ounce is really, really good for if you're fishing a little deeper or you're on rock piles to pick it up and
yep,
let it fall.
yeah.
And then uh, I was trying to think of this. I lost my train of thought, really, Matt. I guess I had too much.
Yeah,
My mind's going in too many places.
yeah, yeah. So,
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Do you remember the Seville's, like the oil
oh
filled
yeah,
Seville rattle
yeah,
baits?
yeah,
Holy crap, dude. They were incredible in cold water. You could just kind of roll them along the bottom and pick them up and let them fall. And I used to paint a bunch of those for Jeff Crete. And back when he was on Seville's pro staff, and he
hmm
would send me clear ones. And I don't even know if I don't even know if they still make a bait, that bait.
yeah. I haven't seen one in a long, long time. I remember the bait and I remember the
Hmm.
packaging, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they
been a
had they
long
had
time since I've
oil in
seen
them.
one.
When I
Hmm
would get the clear ones, he would get them from the factory unpainted, and when I would get the clear ones, you could actually see the oil so that they didn't rattle, so the oil
Yeah,
kept any sound out of there. And then I think the oil where it would go to the head when they would shift and go nose down, it
yeah.
helped the fall or something. And then I think isn't there somebody down around the Gunnersville area that's making rattle baits now? And they make one that looks a lot like the old Seville.
I don't know.
I'd have to think. Like I know there is because I've ran across them a couple times on the internet, and it looks like a really nice looking bait. But
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't brought it up because I can't remember what it's called.
No, that's fine. Have you ever thrown the suicide shad?
No, I've
That
heard of
lipless?
it, but I never threw it.
Yeah, because that's a wood bait, right? That's a
I don't know for sure. I know that the old sugar shads were wood, the originals.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know about the suicide shad. I mean, it might be.
yeah.
There's so
For
many baits that are like regionally hot,
yeah.
and they never really get sold like outside of that region where they
hmm
make them or whatever. That I mean, and there's some really really good baits and some really good tackle makers that it's all done in their garage or their basement.
Yeah, 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 yep. And they're super super niche, and the guys
Hmm.
that catch them on it, they really don't talk about them a whole lot. So
Yeah. What's that jig when you go to Alabama, like Gunnersville, at every freaking tackle store? It's made by an old guy down there, if he's still alive. The hell was the name of that jig? Like every freaking tackle store has them. And I
yeah,
think they were all just made out of do it molds, kind of like the shooter jigs that are so
yeah,
popular in the Carolinas, and they hand
yeah.
tie them in a garage. And
hmm
like, it's like they're like so popular in their regions that you can't compete against them selling any other kind of jig hardly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how there's those regional baits, and I guess kind of when I fish other places, I mean, one of our regional baits obviously is a stupid tube, which you guys at PH Fishing have a selection of tubes now as well.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
but but
Yeah, I
man,
forgot about that. I forgot to mention it. Yeah.
yeah, tubes themselves, that's something that I keep a tube with me all year long. From ice out all the way till it ices up. I just feel like a tube, throwing it around brush piles, throwing it around grass, throwing it around anywhere. I feel like
Hmm.
I got a lot of confidence in it. I feel like I can get bit almost
Hmm.
any time of year, including the springtime.
Well, what a lot of guys don't do is, especially as it gets later in the summer and in the fall, is there's not a better buzz bait trailer than just taking a buzz bait
hmm
and sliding a tube up over the head.
hmm
It doesn't get any better than that in the fall. Like just
Yeah.
salt and pepper, or I throw like a real light smoke with lots of big silver flake. I have them made for me. I flip that one in the fall a lot too. I've won a couple fall tournaments on it. Won a championship on I actually had a guy make me a beaver style bait that just light smoke, but it has lots and lots of silver. And I think that does it Yum have a couple that baits that color
Hmm.
in the crispy crawl and in that I forget
Yep.
what they call it, but it's
Yep.
just real flashy, silvery looking in the water. I've been throwing them for 30 years, and now and even just salt and pepper in a tube is like, I mean, when did you ever see a guy throwing a salt and pepper colored tube around here in years? And salt and pepper is so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. And with the hot trend of pink baits,
Mhm.
it's less it's less rare than what it used to be, but man, it is tough to beat a bubblegum tube as well. I mean, I
Oh
know
yeah.
I've caught, last year caught some on Brookville down there. I've caught them
Oh yeah.
on the river, and it's not just smallmouth, largemouth too. Just a cotton candy or a bubblegum color tube,
Mhm.
tough to beat.
Yep. Same way with the spinner baits,
Yeah,
and a bubble and like a cotton candy, like a shark or like a pink cotton candy.
yeah,
Spinner bait is good. I finished like 19th in an FLW event. Um, I won several thousand. I mean, it was quite a bit of money at Cumberland, and I caught the bulk of the fish uh, on a pink cotton candy colored spinner bait in short bluff pockets. The lake was real high, and flipping a packer crawl back then, and the bulk of them came on the spinner bait,
yeah,
and the
yep,
water was it was gin clear. Like
yep. This time of year in the spring, Phil, do you try to cover water, or do you get kind of focused? Do you fish real slow? I find myself wanting to fish really fast in the spring. I don't know if it's because I'm excited and I'm ready to be out there fishing, or if
yeah,
I'm actually catching more fish that way.
I think I mean I think we all fall into that, and like I like to flip like I like to flip a half or a 5/8 or a 3/4 ounce jig. But
Hmm.
here in Indiana and the Midwest, when the water's really cold, that's probably not the right way. I go down and I flip a quarter a lot, and my buddy who passed away, and your buddy Kurt Cox he was like one of the best friends I could have ever had, and he
Hmm.
died of a heart attack last year. But we would go early in the year when the water's in the 40s, and I'd start out flipping a 3/8 or a half, and he would just kick my butt out of the back of the boat with a quarter. Just that lighter fall, especially when they get up real shallow, like when it's sunny and the water has a little stain, and sometimes they'll be a foot or two deep, even though
Sure.
the water's in the 40s. And he would just kill me, and he'd be like, "Well, when you take that big one off, you'll start catching them." So I try to make a point to flip a quarter a lot,
Yeah.
when it's cold, and then another thing too is like sometimes early in the year, like or I guess any time is I'm really bad about like pitching once or twice to a spot and moving on. And I know that when I catch them good is when I get the boat up there and maybe it's a lay down and you try to hit every piece of it and every crotch, every V or fork
Hmm.
in it and every limb stick, you know what I mean? And it's real easy, like you said, to get in that rut. It's pretty on these pretty days when we go and I think that I'm really bad. I think about fishing over them
Yeah.
when that happens.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of beginning anglers and a lot of anglers that uh, are struggling. I think that boat position is something that's a lost art form anymore. I think people forget
Exactly.
that hey, we need to
Exactly.
position the boat to be able to make the cast to be able to catch the fish.
Yeah, and it's really going to be a lost art now that everybody's out there in the middle of no man's land. Where you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yep.
And it's so important too. Like one thing I know for sure, or what I believe is when the big fish, especially come up early in the year, they're really spooky.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, just turning your trolling motor, like I'm bad about fishing on 50 or 60%, going along flipping, and I can flip a half ounce or a 3/4 ounce jig and cover a lot of water that way. But if you turn it down to 20 or 30, if the wind will allow it, and just creep along and make a lot of pitches,
Yeah,
I know you catch more like that, and it's hard to fish like a turtle. I mean, and that's
yeah,
how I have buddies who always fish like a turtle, but that's hard for me. But I know that like if they can find a jig when it hits muddy water sinking to the bottom, I mean, what do guys think? How do they think that they feel when that trolling motor prop is 30 feet from them and it's spinning real hard?
yeah,
They know
yeah,
you're there. They hear the
yeah.
boat slapping. I mean, you'll never make me believe they don't. They know we're there all the time.
100%. 100%, especially, stomping around the boat, moving around the boat, everything else. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
just no way that they
I
don't
saw
hear you.
that. I saw that fishing with Fred Rabanus. Like in the fall, we were up at Cayuga in New York, and it was the fall right before the release of the first live scope when Garmin come out with it, and the Garmin pros had it like late in the year, and I think it come out at the Classic or something, didn't it? It was when they actually
Hmm.
introduced it, and I was fishing with Fred, and we were in 40 feet of water, and of course that water's pretty clean, but we were in 40 feet of water, and we were drop shot catching smallies that were suspended 30 feet down. And I think I might even said this on another podcast, but it was like the biggest eye opener that week, because one thing I noticed is those smallies would come and get under the boat, like in the shade, and they were 30 feet below the surface, and they were using the boat for shade. And then the coolest thing that I saw that I noticed with that live scope is when when uh when we were just sitting there and not on the trolling motor or anything, them smallies would come right up underneath the boat and the trolling motor, and they would come over and nose around on your drop shot. But the second you would hit the trolling motor, they would scatter, and it
Hmm.
would take them a few minutes to start working their way back.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I see it in the kayak a lot. I have a trolling motor on my kayak now, Minn Tarova, great motor, love it to death.
Mhm.
Uh, but I've noticed, like, with my kayak, I can float over fish a lot, and
Mhm.
like they don't even move, so I can go right over the top of them, and they'll never notice me. But yeah, as
Mhm.
soon as I hit that trolling motor, boom, they're gone. They're just out of
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, they know we're there.
Yeah.
I think another thing too. I don't. And I know. I bet. I'm sure you do this. I'm sure you agree with this. Is a lot of times there'll be like a bunch of fish on a 100-yard stretch of bank or in a certain pocket, and I'm really. I think I got in a rut where like in the past, like in Indiana, we don't have the numbers of fish. So when you find a school, you just need five to do good in most events. If you got one decent one, it's
Yep.
easy to move on if you don't get a bite for a little bit. But a lot of times they're just they're on one channel swing. And if you spend a lot of time on that channel swing and you're quiet, you know what I mean? You catch a lot more sometimes than leaving and going and like leaving fish. Like I was always told, you don't leave fish to go find fish. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I
Yep.
think that's especially true in the spring when the water's cold and they move up together. Little waves, I think, come up.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And this time of year, I know it's kind of hard to pattern them and kind of get on a pattern sometimes, but um, for me, anyways, once I get some confidence in some shallow water, once I get that first bite in shallow water, that's what I really try to concentrate on. And then
Hmm.
something I do is I really try to figure out, like, was it my angle of my cast? Was it
Hmm.
that I'm fishing, next to duckweeds that retain heat, and
Hmm.
are those fish moving up? Like, why are those fish where they're at? And then
Right.
trying to apply that all around the lake. It doesn't matter the size of the lake or even the river system, but it's really focusing on and really optimizing that bite to make sure, hey, I saw this happen over here. Can I replicate it somewhere else and get bit there too?
Hmm. Yeah.
I know,
Yeah. The boat
like,
angle, the angle of the cast is
yes,
everything.
yep,
Everything.
yep, and I think a lot of people overlook that. Is
Yeah.
your angle of cast and why the fish was positioned and why you got bit where you got bit.
Yeah. It's so easy to get lazy. Like I know for like fishing spinner baits,
Hmm.
like when you come up to a lay down and it's easy to get lazy or you get excited and you want to throw up over it. But I believe this. I've proved this 100 times to myself over the years. Like the angle of the cast with the spinner bait is everything. Like if you're going to come up and fish a lay down, you should never. I mean, I can't say you'll never catch a fish if you throw over it because we all have. But you
Yep.
should never throw. I don't want to throw at it until I get the boat on the end and I can wind it all the way down the trunk. And all I can say is I don't know if it's that first cast they're not aware of you being there yet or whatever, but I've convinced myself that if you wind it down the trunk on the very first throw, you'll catch way more than if you start throwing across it before you get lined up.
Yep. Yep. You just got to
Like
be
I'll go to my
patient.
grave believing that.
Yep. And I 100% believe that, like, and that's really any time of the year. I feel like,
Hmm.
and with any bait, buzz bait, same way. I've learned that, if you fish
Hmm.
buzz bait, that same way. Sometimes you'll get bit.
Yeah.
Like, fished a lot of stumps and a lot of things over the years, and you'll run it down the left side, the right side, and then all of a sudden you'll move the boat, and
Yep.
you'll go down the back in the front of the stump, and all of a sudden you catch 2 or 3 fish right off that
Yep.
same stump.
Yeah, that's the thing I've had with co-anglers. Like I'm not one of those guys that back boats them. I don't stick the nose in so they can't
Yep.
fish. And sometimes I won't be throwing. I'll be trying to get the boat positioned on a laydown, maybe, especially if you're fishing flats, shallow
Hmm.
flats, and they'll throw over that sucker. And I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there
and
it goes.
I don't want to be one of those guys that's a dick
Yeah.
and says, don't, you can't
Yep.
throw, because I don't know how you
Right.
can tell a guy you can't throw. And
Right.
sometimes I'll try to be tactful and say, hey, just wait till we get to the end, and you can have one side, I'll take the other side. But
Right.
I
Right.
know, like you said, that it's really important but then we've all had the days when you throw over like limbs and stuff and pull them over and let the spinnerbait fall over the limb and they bite it on the way down, you know?
Hmm. Yep. Yep. So, what where are you heading your first trip out? Do you know? Is it going to be Brookville, Summit? Is it going to be
Oh yeah,
Ohio
it'll be
River? Is it going
Brookville.
to be? Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be Brookville. I uncovered my boat just a little bit today. Unfortunately, my boat sits outside now, but it's got a good cover on it. And
Yeah.
I need to start going through tackle and jigs. And you and I were talking before we started. I threw away about 60 chatterbaits this fall that
Oof.
had rusted in the box.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were originals and stuff. Like I had a lot of the originals in quarter ounce, and they're hard to find.
Yep.
And I throw it. Everybody throws 3/8 and half, but I don't know how many tourneys I've did really good in or one throwing a quarter ounce chatterbait when they're really shallow.
Hmm.
Just the old original quarter ounce. And I guess I'm going to have to get a mold and make my own because it's getting really hard to find the quarters.
Yeah.
And the ones
I would.
I've seen a couple guys making them on like Facebook, and they're beautiful, and they'll list them for sale. But a lot of those have really like small hooks in them, and I
Yep.
don't want to throw it. I mean, a bass has got a big mouth. If I'm when I'm chatterbait fishing, I'm usually throwing 20-pound fluorocarbon or even braid if it's in the grass, and I ain't
Hmm.
interested in throwing a 3/0 hook in a chatterbait.
No. No.
I know it probably don't matter, but just a confidence thing. And
Yeah, and a lot of those baits too. I don't know if you've noticed the blades seem like they're undersized too. They seem like they're really, really
yeah,
small blades, and it's like, eh. So I wish
yeah.
you would make a chatterbait,
Yeah,
honestly.
I would like with the quarter ounce, it has the same size as all the other chatterbaits. And so it
Mm.
lets you kind of like you'll hear Bill Lowen, and Bill and I fish together all the time. You'll hear Billy talk about like throwing a quarter ounce swim jig a lot because you can kind of float it along. Which the
Yep.
same way with that quarter ounce chatterbait, especially if like with them, I put like a Yamamoto Seiko or one of them bulky trailers like that on the back,
Hmm.
and allows you to kind of float it along and keep it up when you need to keep it up high, like on real shallow flats, or
Yep.
if the grass has, like before it tops out. But I know that quarter ounce chatterbait cells are not good unless it's in the mini chatters or, some of
Yeah.
the smaller finessey ones. And I want a full size in a quarter.
Yep. Yep. I'm the same way. Yeah. Good stout hook on it. Good
Hmm.
blade on it, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's I think it also allows you to let the bait fall, and then you can pick it back up without
Yeah.
it going all the way to the bottom. So
Yeah.
you got a little bit of time to do some of
Yeah.
that stuff as well. And I think I think we've been hitting all around it, but really it's rate of fall is
Exactly.
you're talking about jig earlier, throwing that lighter jig, throwing that lighter chatterbait. I think
Hmm.
rate of fall is something that is really really important all year. But man, I feel like spring it's almost the deal is that rate of fall.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times that I've been fishing with guys or like a co-angler, and maybe I was like wrecking them, or they were wrecking them and I wasn't, or they wasn't. And then you find out like they got a different size sinker than I do.
Yep.
Like I fished at Everstart way back on the Fort Madison pool in the Mississippi River, and then it had like lots and lots of eelgrass and lots of pads. And I know I had a really good finish. I had a 20th or 23rd out of 200 or whatever it was, and I caught them all flipping a June bug colored beaver throughout the event in pads.
Mm,
But the
yep.
key was I was flipping a half-ounce sinker, here's the thing: the pads were in 2 feet, 2 3 foot of water, and my co-angler the first day, I think he had one. And listen, It was so windy. I was raising the trolling motor and the big motor, and I wasn't even push pulling. I would let the boat drift through the pad field with the current and the wind. The wind was blowing with the current. And
Hmm.
when I would get to the end, I would idle up and I would drift through there again. So all we're doing is drifting through there, dabbling around the side of the boat, almost like crappie fishing.
Yeah.
And I had like 3, 4 limits each day. And I think both of my co-anglers the first 2 days were really good fishermen.
Yeah.
And the one zeroed and the one caught one. And the only difference is they were both. I remember I kept saying, I'm throwing this half ounce, and they just couldn't get it in their head. I guess they continued to throw a quarter. That was the
Yep.
only difference.
Wow.
Same
Yeah.
bait, everything. They wanted
Yeah.
that fast fall that day.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes they want that fast fall. Sometimes they want more of a flutter. It's, you do have to mess around a little bit with it
Right.
and kind of figure out what they want and why they want it that way.
Yeah, it's like some days when you're flipping or whatever you're doing. Like some days, like I heard this the first time from Billy Lowe when we were fishing, and he's like, "Well, you try one without kicky legs, and I'll flip with something with kicky legs." And it's
Yeah.
really so a lot of times it's really that simple. Do they
Yeah.
want a bait with a lot of action, or do they want something that slides through the water? Like it can make such a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so frustrating too, because like you said, if you have somebody in the boat and they're just wearing them out and the other guy can't catch a fish, you're just
Oh,
like, man, what is going on?
it jacks
So
me up. I let it really mess with my head, and
yeah.
you know what I mean? If I start off catching more first, then I get on a
Then you're
roll, I can
okay.
roll. But if I get spanked, it like really hurts my feelings.
Yeah.
And it's easy to sit here and talk about it, but when you're on the water and you're caught up in the moment, it's easy to not do all the things that you should be doing. You know what I mean? Like changing sinkers or maybe putting on like Bill Owen, me and Bill Owen and Brandon Pickett. A lot of guys watch us going to know Brandon. We went over to Newton Lake one time about this
Mm.
time of year, maybe or a little later, over in Illinois. It's a power plant lake, and I was in the middle. Billy's in the front, Brandon's in the back, and we're all when we go like it's like brutal, like it's a slugfest for each other. And
Yeah.
we're going along down the bank, and Billy and Brandon, all we're doing is flipping Cincos with Texas rig, and we're all throwing like an 1/8 or 3/16 ounce sinker. I'm in the middle. Billy and Brandon are like pounding me. I mean, it's bad, and all I'm hearing is, "Oh, you suck. You ain't got no skills." And they're laughing, and they would catch one, and Billy was swinging around right in front of my face, and he's like, "Hey, hey, this is what one looks like." Blah blah blah. And they both had 17-pound fluorocarbon on their on flipping rods. And I don't know if this was the difference, but I caught like 2 or 3 all day, and they caught 20 some each.
Wow.
And the only difference that we could figure out was I was flipping with 20-pound fluorocarbon, and they were flipping with 17. So when I picked up a rod at the end, Billy's like, "Dude, it has to be your line." He's like, "I know you can catch one flipping." And when I picked up a rod with 17, it wasn't even a flipping rod. It was a spinnerbait rod or something. I rigged a Senko up on it. I caught like the last 3. But all day long, I mean, like it was so bad that I just wanted to go home. And
Wow.
I mean, same, we're using Rains, sinkers, tungsten.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, everything was the same except for that heavy line. And I don't know that heavy fluorocarbon, maybe because maybe it was speeding it up or maybe it was slowing it down. I don't know, or maybe I just got thrashed, and that's just how it is.
Sometimes it happens. I mean,
Hey, it was brutal. I'm going to
yeah.
tell you, man, they were like taking pictures and trying to video. I mean, it was brutal because I was getting like ripped, and I just wanted to catch them. I didn't care if they were 12 inches.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that happens to everybody. And if a guy tells me that never happened to him, he's lying.
Oh yeah. I mean, I felt a little bit of that last year when you and I felt it when you and I fished Brookville. I mean, you thrashed me pretty damn good down there.
I did. I don't even
Yep.
remember who caught what.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's all right.
Hey, it happened. It happens.
It
It
does. It
happens to
does.
everybody. I think I'm going to run out of phone battery here in a minute, but I'll tell you a quick story. And I was fishing back when they were strands at Pickwick, and it was early March,
Yeah.
and I was like wrecking them on a pink spinnerbait down toward the dam on the lower end, and I was paralleling the bluffs with a pink spinnerbait. I'll never forget this, and I'd had not nearly enough experience to even be getting in a strand event yet, right? You know what I mean? Because you're
Mhm.
fishing
Yeah.
against Larry Nixon and
Yeah.
Jim, Tut and Clark Wendland, all these guys that you
Yep.
read about, Larry Nixon, they're all there. And I go out the first day, man, and I freaking whacked them. just slow rolling a pink spinnerbait parallel to bluff banks. So I drawed out with this guy the next day and hope my phone lasts. If it goes dead, you'll know my phone died. I drew out with this old guy and he's like, son, I'm just here to learn. He said, I don't care if I catch one or not. And he had a cooler. He had very few baits. And he had a big cooler full of bologna and cheese, and he had pickles in there and bread and all this stuff, you know. And he's like, I'll tell you what, we'll eat good no matter what. Well, the next day, the day before, it was kind of rainy and it was real windy, you know, and it was perfect
Mhm.
spinnerbait conditions. And these bluffs were like 15 foot of water or so, maybe some of them might have been as much as 20. He sits in the passenger seat all day and eats, and he had a brown crappie jig, literally a brown marabou jig,
Yeah.
and he had it on a Zebco 33. And all he would do was he said, you go ahead and parallel the bluffs. You don't worry about me. And he sat there and his rod tip would almost scrape the bluff, and he would feed out like 12, 15 feet of line with that crappie jig and sit there and
Yeah.
eat. And every once in a while he'd be like, oh, I got one. He caught a limit behind me, like, I don't remember what it was, like 12 or 13 pounds of spots behind me on that
Wow.
little brown marabou jig. You know how many
Yeah.
I caught? Zero. Jacked with my head so much. I zeroed. I couldn't wait for the day to be over, and I drove back to Indiana.
Wow. Wow. Well, I know your
Now,
phone's
I don't
going
think
to
he made a cast. I don't think he casted
really
one time all day.
just
Nope.
right over
Just,
the edge.
and they call that strolling, right? When the guys
Yeah.
do that with the trolling motor.
Yeah.
But all he was doing was catching those spots suspended on that little tiny brown jig.
Wow. That's
It was a
amazing.
handmade jig too. He told me his
Yeah.
buddy made them. He's like, "Do you want one?" And I'm like, "Hell no, I don't want one. I ain't doing that." You know what I mean?
I, I don't want to see another brown jig in my life.
I was too damn dumb. And now that I know, now that now that scoping has taught us different and stuff, like it's like we were talking about, like with the little marabou jigs for smallies. Had
Hmm.
I had any brains at all, I would have got a spinning rod out and put
Yeah.
on a little jig, a crappie jig or something, because he had plenty. And all I had to done was throw it down that bluff and wind it back real slow, and I probably would have caught him.
You would have crushed him. You would
And
have crushed him for
I
sure.
was too stubborn to do it.
Yep. Us fishermen, just strong headed sometimes.
Dumber than hell, ain't it?
Yep. It is. It is.
Yeah.
Well, I know your phone's dying, but I think we would really be doing ourselves a disfavor by not talking about the classic this week. It's
Oh
coming up.
yeah.
So
Yep, for sure.
who do you think is going to win it in Knoxville?
Man, I don't know. I know I talked to Billy yesterday. Um, I sent him some baits down that he wanted. He said he's catching them pretty good, but not catching any. He said he wasn't really catching the quality. I
Hmm.
don't. And other than that, I haven't talked to nobody. Like I don't know if. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I'm assuming that it'll probably be good chance it'll be one up there. Them guys catching them deep smallies again, like almost every time they go there, huh?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's with it being just a little bit later this year than what it was last time. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because
Yeah,
you look at how Knoxville's been won in the past. Odd Defoe won it.
yeah,
He won it pretty shallow and
yeah.
and, and doing
Cranking
doing
and chatterbaiting.
yeah, doing his thing that he does. And then uh, you know uh, the last one was one offshore doing some other kind of northern type of
Kind
stuff.
of Demiki rigging type
Yep,
stuff.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to be somewhere in the middle where it's going to be the field's going to be spread out, or the field's going to be one of
I
those
know it's
where
it's really warm there. Like
yeah,
Billy said, it was in the 80s yesterday, and I'm rooting for him, obviously. And one thing
sure,
I know, he's really good at fishing with flat balsa baits and chatterbaits and
yeah,
flipping a jig up shallow. So maybe a bunch of those fish, and I know the lake's down like 3 or 4 feet.
yeah,
So maybe a bunch of those fish will move up, and the guys like Billy will have, will have better luck. I mean, I wish all the guys good luck. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
sure, yeah. I mean, that's a life changing event for sure, and
Yeah.
hopefully, I'm looking forward to watching it and tuning in this week and kind of see what happens this weekend. So
Yeah, yeah. I really hope it ain't one scoping. I mean,
yeah,
I don't care who wins it. I just hope it's one on old school techniques and it's fun to watch. And I know
yep,
guys are going to be like, it is fun to watch scoping. I just want to see somebody winding or flipping or something.
yep,
You know what I mean?
yep.
Like that. That's how I hope it's one, no matter who wins it. But
No, I'm the same way. Really, really pulling for a few guys, but man, it would be awesome to see somebody kind of old school fishing, going down a bank and crush them, or throwing something different, like throwing a big glide bait or big swim bait. Something like that would be interesting too. I don't know if that's going to play at all, but man, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. So hopefully, like you said and I said, hopefully somebody's going down the bank catching them. That'd be really fun to watch.
Yeah. Here's who I'm rooting for, and I don't want nobody to take it personal. I really want to see Lowen or Wes Logan win.
Yep. Either one of
Yeah,
those
Wes
guys.
is a great guy and a very, very talented young fisherman, and he can do a little bit of the old school and a little bit of the scoping too. So
Yep.
I hope one of those guys win, and and that's all I got to say. Probably all I should say about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It would. I wouldn't mind seeing somebody like Seth Fighter up
Oh
there
yeah, me too.
as
Yeah,
well. So.
yeah, yeah. I would too, and he can win old school style. And
Yep. Yep.
I got a good feeling that it should be setting up really good for cranking,
Hopefully.
shallow
That
crankbait fishing.
that'd be awesome to see. I'd love to see that. So.
I know. Remember, was it when Scott Martin finished seventh or something before, and he did that on one of my flat baits on the W2 and
On the
the old
W2.
school line. Yeah, he
Yep.
caught him on it, and I at one point I thought he might even maybe going to win on a flat balsa bait,
Yep.
and then I know the one time they was there, um, Cox, he caught him really good on that
Mm.
Fritz side flat bait.
Yep.
Remember, up in the shallow in the pockets, and the water was still
Yep.
pretty cold. So
Yep. Yep. So yeah, hopefully it's a good event. Hopefully everybody's safe down there. It sounds like they're gonna have okay weather down there. I
uh-huh.
don't think they're gonna get what we're getting tonight and tomorrow morning. So that's
Yeah,
good for them down there. But
yeah.
any final words before we get off here?
No, I'm afraid. I'm afraid I'm about going to run out of battery like any minute. But yeah, all I can say is watch the PH fishing. You guys know more about that than me. I guess you just scan that with your phone. It takes you
Yep.
there. Over the next few months, there's going to be a lot of new products. Maybe even possibly a suspended jerk bait, like a hard bait.
Hmm.
We got lots of stuff in the works. It's just a matter of getting molds, getting it. I mean, it's time consuming and to get
Yep.
them right. And we're making sure everything's done right. And I'm assuming we're going to have the spinner bait next. I know we
Okay.
got jigs on there already and they're all hand tied and stuff.
Yep.
And then I'm assuming the spinner bait's going to be next. We did a quarter, 3/8 and a half for start. It's kind of a compact type bait, uh, and it's got all quality American. You've got worse swivels on them. I mean, about as good as you can buy. That or Sampo are the two best I feel like. So
Yep.
they're all hand tied. They're going to be really nice, cool colors, good blade combinations and stuff. So and I mean we'll announce it whenever that happens. But you can buy rods. I'm pretty sure the tubes are on there. We've got
Tubes.
3.5
Yep.
and 4 inch flipping tubes. They're hand dipped here in
Yep.
America. And I don't know, there might be like 15, 16 colors for starters.
There's a lot of them.
And we got the underspin, like you were talking, the underspins
Mhm.
on there. And I know some of the jigs have sold out, so I got to get busy tying jigs.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I know some of them are sold out, and I think actually the list is pretty long, but there's still a lot of really good ones on there.
Yep.
Make sure these guys. If I could tell you one thing like that really works, is give the marabou jigs a try. Put it on a
Hmm.
super light line, like you don't want bigger than 6. Throw it out there and just wind it in, especially on them sunny days when them smallies get up and cruise. Like Brookville, they
Yep.
get up on the flats cruising around when the water's cold.
Yep.
Throw it out there and just wind it in and see. And if you're doing it at Brookville, you're going to catch walleyes and white bass and crappies and everything else on it. So
Yep. Yeah. No. um, the site is up and active. PH Fishing. I've been on there, kind of looked around a little bit, and then I would say that we also have a TikTok channel now uh, for the podcast. So go on there, give us a follow, give us a follow on YouTube. Uh,
mhm.
once we get going here and get some more subscribers and get things going, we want to do a lot of lives. I want to travel down to
Mhm.
Brookville with you and do some
Mhm.
do some lives. So take you guys in the boat with us and actually go fishing.
Yeah, and
Some some
please subscribe. I know that we've been
yeah.
a little sporadic about the stuff, and we are going to have guests. It's just you can't get a guest this week. They're all classics. So
Yep.
we do have a whole bunch of guests coming. We'll have Lowen back on. We'll have Matt Heron on. I know James
Mm,
Watson. He said he'd like to be on, and Ott Defoe will do it again.
Yep.
Maybe we'll get Scott Martin on here. We could pin him down. So
Yep.
maybe we'll get Hillary.
There we
Hillary's like
go.
a phenom right now, his
Yeah.
daughter. So maybe we can get Hillary on here
Yep. She's a
and
stick.
yeah. So all I can say is please subscribe. That allows us to keep doing it and growing it, and we're kind of learning as we go, aren't we? So
Yep.
I'm sure it'll get better as it goes along, and you'll be listening to somebody besides me and Matt talk.
Yeah. And really important, please subscribe, like Phil said, to YouTube, Facebook, and then our new TikTok channel. I know TikTok it's really taken off for us. So jump on there. I'm posting as much as I can on there, and as well as YouTube, our shorts, things like that. Tell your friends about us too. Get on there, subscribe. Let's grow the channel together, and then we can go fishing together.
Yeah, I think the shorts are where we get most of our views, right? Or
Yeah.
actually on the shorts.
Yep. A lot of
Yeah.
views on there. So
Yeah,
and tell us what you
get
like about.
thousands of.
Yep. Tell us what you like about the podcast. Tell us what you don't like. Phil and I take criticism pretty well. So if you don't like
Plus, we
something,
want to
let us know.
learn.
Yeah,
We want to
absolutely.
learn. I'm definitely interested in what anybody says or anybody has techniques or things to
Yep.
share. I mean, that's why we wanted to do this. We want to learn too.
Yep. Absolutely. So with that, Phil, I think we'll wrap up. We will be back in probably a few weeks. Kind of doing every other week or bi-weekly is kind of our target with this. So
Mhm.
we'll see you guys next week or 2 weeks. So.
Yep. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Good luck.